it's not good enough that we just happen to have a true belief. You also need to have some good reason, some what I'd call an objectively good reason, not just a reason I like.
So let's talk about knowledge. Do you like the 3-word definition of knowledge? What do you think about justified true belief?
Yeah. This is the classic view of knowledge. Many would say it goes back to Plato in his dialogue Theaetetus. Some Plato scholars kind of raise their hands and are like, I don't think that's exactly what Plato's saying. There's a historical question, but clearly, there is this tradition that knowledge is a matter of justified true belief.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that knowledge is a kind of justified true belief.
Yeah.
So what would I say there? So one is that those are sort of a necessary condition for knowing something is one, you have to believe it,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's hard to say that you have knowledge of something if you lack the belief, So that seems a pretty obvious and a pretty minimal commitment there.
Yeah.
Second one is we think that it needs to be true. And this is just this idea that we tend to think that knowledge is a very special case and that it must be what some philosophers call factive, meaning that knowledge is a success term. It is something that points to the fact that it is true or the things it describes are real, and that it just by definition, if it's not true or if it's unreal, then you can't know it.
Yeah.
And then the controversy typically surrounds this third one, which is justification. There are some people that have a very strong intuition that you need to have absolute certainty to know something.
Yeah.
So if you just lack that kind of certainty, some people just think you don't know things. I'm not in that camp. I think that that's just way too high of a standard. But on the other hand, I don't think that it makes sense to say that we know something without justification. It's not good enough that we just happen to have a true belief. You also need to have some good reason, some what I'd call an objectively good reason, not just a reason I like. For instance, one of my favorite examples is those magic 8 balls, those little gag gifts you can get.
Yeah.
And you can take the magic 8 ball and you can ask it a question like, should I go to the movies today? And you shake it and you turn it over and it says all signs point to yes. I guess I should go, right? Could you imagine if you're trying to make an important decision, like, should I take all of my money out of my retirement account and, put it on this penny stock, in a day trading, scheme? Shake it. And if it says all signs point to yes, does that give me an objectively good reason to do that? Right. I think that we could all pretty clearly say, no, that's not an objectively good reason to think so. Knowledge seems to require those 3 things. There's a little bit of a history lesson why some philosophers reject this account. And what's kind of come in its wake has been the attempt to fix it by throwing in some kind of new 4th condition or other analysis, which, no surprise, have not really been all that successful.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can keep going down that rabbit hole if you want, but I'm also fine to leave it at that. But
What
justified true belief?
Right. I like to say this. If tell me what you think. If somebody says no, there's more needed, I say, okay, well maybe there is, but can we at least agree that for you to have knowledge of something, you at least have to have justified true belief, maybe something more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I think that is a good way to approach it. And that gives at least what I would say is common ground for all of us to talk about. And a lot of times these 4th conditions are, once again, it's hard to even, some of them you wouldn't even recognize what, they're very, they've been engineered to just deal with one kind of problem. So generally speaking, it's the justified true belief that we all agree on.